and welcome to another Coffee with Kilroy, or what I many times call Beverage in a Book. My beverage, well, I think I spoiled that. And it is early in the morning as I film this, but I'm posting this on July 2nd as part of my Gettysburg coverage. And the book today is Gettysburg, A Journey in Time by William Frassanito. And he is kind of for lack of a better term, or at least what I'm going to term him, a forensic photographer. He's gone back and taken a look at a lot of the photos of battlegrounds, or namely Gettysburg, battlefield or after battle photos that were taken, and done an analysis to where some of these soldiers, the casualties, and where stuff really happened. Photography was kind of a new art at that point, and a new technology, and there were some photographers that kind of flocked to Gettysburg and would take photos, and in some aspects would mislabel, like where some of the action took place, or where some of these, which side these casualties were from. And sometimes stuff was staged as well, or at least, made to make for a better picture than maybe what they were seeing out there. But I've covered I think at least one other of his books, but this one is a little bit bigger book, and the other one I think covered was mostly photographs with a little bit of text. I believe this one is mostly text with a little bit of photographs in it. I got this from Thrift Books because you can see we got the Thrift Book sticker still on there, because this is not in the best of shape. When you get stuff from Thrift Books, it gets a little ragged. They're used books for the most part, and this cover was coming off, so I put the sticker to hold the cover on there. Let's look at the back here, as I have some coffee today. Let me have another piece of coffee here. Sip of coffee. It is early. I'm probably going to mess up some stuff, so bear with me. Gettysburg, A Journey in Time is a unique example of photographic detective work in which the famous battle is recreated almost as if it were a contemporary news event. The reader is transported to the battlefield by the photographs, and through the analysis of the photographs to the battle itself. We watch it unfold action by action in meticulous close-up fashion with documentary force. We see the terrible encounters of men at war. So this is primarily done by, the analysis is done by William Frassanito. He was educated at Gettysburg College and did his graduate work in American Cultural History in the Cooperstown Graduate Program. While at Gettysburg College, he was a guide for 3 years at Gettysburg National Park. He served in the U.S. Army in both Germany and Vietnam, and in Vietnam, where he won the Bronze Star, he was assigned to the Joint Chiefs of Staff as an intelligence analyst. And I've seen some talks with him on YouTube, where he talks about his photographic detective work and the like. But this book here is as you can see, is a full-on book. Is an interesting read. It's looking at the photographs that were taken at the time, and then also intersplicing, modern day photographs, and kind of explaining the battle and explaining kind of how things took place through the photographs, but also kind of an analysis of the photographs. And as you can see, I got notes and writing and stuff in here. This is used book, but kind of walking through the battlefield, both then and today, because he was a guide, and kind of giving his take on things, which is, I find it interesting. I find this is a different perspective for the different perspective of the Battle of Gettysburg. And if you follow my channel, I'm all about taking kind of different views on things. So let's look here. This is the beginning. It's like who took the photographs. So these are the original. I got some glare this morning. It's very early and have very little lighting this morning. Who took the photographs? For many decades, Matthew Brady, Alexander Gardner, and Timothy O'Sullivan have been the photographers regularly associated with Gettysburg battlefield. Other important figures have seldom been noted. Charles and Isaac Tyson of Gettysburg, the Weavers, Frederick Guntkuntz, or Gardner's assistant, James Gibson. So there's some other photographers. I mean, normally it's Brady. I think O'Sullivan was a lot of the photos that Frassanito has analyzed in the past, but there is a lot of different sources that more than just a couple here. And then when were the photographs taken? They're talking about like it was right after the battle, sometimes a few days later, and it was very yeah, you can imagine what the decomposing bodies and the smell and what everything that was going on there. So this introduction is really about you know, kind of the setup or introduction to the photographers. Now he's going to go into who the photographers, Gardner and his men, and talking a little bit about what they were doing. And it's interesting because it gives you kind of a view of what it was like to take photographs back then. Again, this was kind of a new technology of sorts, and this is kind of the earliest uses of it for war photography, or at least, you know, after the aftermath of war in photography. So it's kind of an interesting look in that respect as well. So he talks about each of the photographers. There's Brady, who was one of the more well-known of this time period. The Tyson brothers, he goes through each one of the different photographers that were there, or at least took photographers. And then he covers some of these additional ones that we don't talk about. So then you get the photographs, and he's going to cover, you know, we're on July 2nd today, at least that's when I'm posting it. But he covers kind of the battlefield, and he shows where the groups of photographs are taken. He kind of divides them into these different areas, 6 different areas, and then just analyzes them. So let's look at these different areas here. The First Day Field, Cemetery Hill, Culp's Hill, Cemetery Ridge, Little Round Top and Devil's Den, and the Rose Farm. And I've covered some of the stuff on the last book I covered, what I think was really predominantly about the Rose Farm. That was one of those mislabeled ones that for years they were saying it was, they thought it was forces that were from the first day around here. And then since he was a guide, he had noticed a rock that kind of, that wasn't present over here, and he found it at Rose Farm. So I think a lot of the photographs that were originally taken here and labeled as being here, he was able to kind of do his detective work and put that together, which I found that, I don't know, it's kind of geeky, but it's interesting, you know, going back and looking at, it's kind of like looking at the history of photography, at least used in a after war effect. So this is really just kind of analysis that he's going to go through a lot of photos. He'll do both photos then and today, and you'll see it noted as like here's modern right here versus in modern, you know, the comparison between the different videos, the different photographs of that time period. So as I said, this isn't, I'm not going to go page by page, but it's an interesting read because he's going to be doing that throughout. You saw that one, you saw some traffic signs back there, but he's got like a modern here and the like. So it's just an interesting take on the battle through the lens of a photographer, right? And here's group 3. This is all stuff around Culp's Hill, so this area right here. And I really like how it's laid out because now you know what part of the battlefield you're at, the photos that were taken, and the like. So it really is kind of takes you on a journey, and as a guide, as you can see, there's some rocks here. I think this is the Rose Farm piece. Now this is still Culp's Hill. But he really does a whole analysis of kind of where the photographs were taken and by who, and kind of trues them up. Like, here's the group at Rose Farm. This is that one I was telling you about that just didn't sit right with him, and he kept on going back. There's if you've seen any of these photographs, or I'll put a link to my previous coverage on this. There was like this V formation, and these were the bodies that were kind of laid out after the battle to getting ready for removal or burial or the like, right? And so there were some rocks here that he noticed and this was originally slated to be like casualties from the first day, and were, I think, slated to be Union casualties, and I think they turned out the Confederate casualties at the Rose Hill Farm, which was a lot of battle, a lot of fighting just south of the wheat field and south of like Devil's Den and the like. And I'll put some additional images of this at the end there if you so desire to see it, or just pick up this book. This book's been around for a long time, and as I said, I got it relatively cheap off Thrift Books. So yeah, there were some pretty mangled up corpses by the time some of these photographs were taken. Anyway, so there you have it. I just found this very, very interesting. You might say it's a little bit morbid, but it is a little bit. But I think it's just an interesting perspective on the Battle of Gettysburg and on war photography in general. So this is some of the first, aftermath type photography. It was kind of sensational at the time and fascinating by people, maybe fascinating to their morbid curiosities. Anyway, as I'm covering Gettysburg this week, I thought I would take a quick look at this book and share it with you. As I said, there's a lot more in here, and he kind of goes through each of those 6 different areas in the photos and analyzing them, both in somewhat of a what was taken then and modern day, what does it look like, to give you a perspective. I like it. I find it interesting. So I thought I'd share it with you. Thanks for stopping by, everybody, and enjoy your coffee and the rest of your day. Unless it's the end of the day, I hope you had a good one. Take care, all. Thanks for watching.